Well, hello, I'm Matt Frawley, and this is Mathey Talks. Today, I have my good friend, Sergeant Sean Ryder. Sean and I have been good friends for many, many years, and he's such a great guy. I thought it'd be awesome to have him here on Mathey Talks. So thanks for coming this morning.
You're very welcome. I'm really pleased I can be here. Thank you.
So tell us how you got to be such a personality on campus. Where did you come from?
So, that's very nice of you to say that. I'm from England. I'm from the very middle of the UK, from the county of Staffordshire, former British police officer, and worked over there as a police officer for almost 10 years. And then, as a result of some family commitments, found myself moving around, stepped away from the police force in the UK, and then found myself here in Princeton roughly 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And how, so I know your wife's work brought you all here initially, is that
yes,
right? And then,
yeah.
So how did you come to get onto the public safety here at Princeton?
So you're absolutely right. So my wife worked for an American pharmaceutical company. Mm-hmm. They had us moving around the UK, then into Europe. We lived in Belgium for a couple of years, and then out to the States, again, roughly 12 years ago. So, as you can imagine, with my wife's career, having us move every now and again, we needed some kind of continuity at home. We needed a parent to be at home with two children. So that parent was me, and I loved every moment of it. I was very fortunate in that the police service, rather like the fire brigade and the ambulance service in the UK, offer career breaks, and they're typically career breaks for certain reasons. In our particular case, it was for the purposes of childcare. So I took time off to be at home with the kids whilst my wife moved her career along. So
now, in talking to your daughter, I think she said that they had enough, and that's why they were like, "Dad, can you go check out Princeton Public Safety, see if there's employment there?" Was that?
Well, you know, that's probably fairly accurate. So I was at home for a while looking after the kids, and then, you know, the idea was to make sure that our youngest, in this case, you're absolutely right, our daughter, was into at least full-time school. Mm-hmm. So she'd started, and then at that point I realised that I'd got this bit of time on my hands, and could then start to explore opportunities. You know, I'd painted the walls in the house so many times that I think I'd started to reduce the square footage of the place. So I started looking, and in fact, it was a neighbour of ours at the time who said, "Why don't you go and talk to Princeton University, big local employer, mm-hmm. And they have this public safety department." Well, I'm sure you know, in the UK, it's typically the local town police that oversees law enforcement on the college campus. A lot of colleges have their own security teams, but there really is no such thing as a campus police agency. So I was intrigued by this public safety department, and really what it did and what it meant and what it stood for. And truth be told, I was really looking to expand my social network, because up until that point, my social network had been interrupted quite a bit with the moves we'd had over the years. My wife was out at work most of the day. Children were now both at school. You know, my vocabulary had reduced quite a bit whilst I was at home with the kids, and now I just needed some prolonged, adult company. So I thought, by reaching out maybe to this campus police department within public safety at the university, I could maybe bring some of my experiences to that department, or at a very minimum just be able to network with a group of like-minded individuals. funny story, in the UK, most of the police agencies or police stations have bars at them. So I thought, in all my naivety, maybe I can just go and volunteer my services at the public safety bar and maybe, you know, pull a few pints and collect a few glasses. There you go. Obviously, I didn't embarrass myself too much when I went to speak to public safety, and that conversation didn't come up. But there was a conversation about would I be interested in coming to work with the department. There you go. Long story cut short, here I am today.
Wow. Well, if it's any comfort, I was, not that it should be a comfort, but I was kind of the stay-at-home dad as well, and I think my kids were very excited when I gained full employment here at Princeton University. I think they had enough. So I was not so good with the paintbrush as you, though. I was, I don't know, trying to write papers and whatnot, and failing miserably. Anyway, so okay, so you're here now at Princeton University, and you're a sergeant, and
yes.
also the public relations lead, or
yeah.
Is there a title for
there,
that, or?
There is. It's very simply sergeant for community relations. So yes, I have a dual role. I am a patrol sergeant, which means that I are responsible for the supervision and support of a team of officers during the daytime, during a day shift. Those shifts typically run from either 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. or they'll be 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. And I have a colleague who covers those hours when I'm on my days off. So I work a 2-week rotation of shifts. But when I'm working, certainly that's my responsibility as a patrol sergeant, mostly to support this team of officers. The other role is that of the community relations lead. So that is a fantastic opportunity for me. I'm given those chances to go and speak with various groups, organizations across the campus, get involved in great projects like this. And I see that role as an opportunity for the department to speak to the wider community about what we are, what we do, why we're here, and how we can help.
Okay. I have to say, it fits you so well. If you recall our trip to the Red Bulls soccer game this fall, I was really impressed on the way home. If you know, you had about 5 or 6 students around you, and you were just talking English Premier Soccer, which was great. But it was really neat to see how well you interact with students. And
that's great.
It seems like you really enjoy that role.
I really do. You know, I'm a huge believer. Thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. But I really do see the role of public safety officers on a college campus more aligned with a community policing model than anywhere else, and particularly a smaller community like this, where you know, we can in partnership with a lot of these groups and organizations make a difference. And I don't think, you know, I don't like the terminology law enforcement. You know, having been through police training in the UK, you won't really hear police officers talk about enforcement so much as there is a time where, you know, decisions need to be made, and typically it's the person wearing a uniform that's looked to make a decision. The concept of partnering with and working with the community is one that I think is sometimes lost. We have a great opportunity here on this campus to work with the various groups to identify issues before they become concerns. So I'm very lucky having the opportunity to talk with the students, engage with the students. I love it dearly, and thank you again for the comment.
Oh, my pleasure. Although I don't want to touch on soccer because I know you're Austin Villa.
You promised you wouldn't, but
I'm sorry. English Premier fans and your team, Austin Villa, is dangerously close to the relegation zone. I think
We-
they're in fourth right now.
We
Fourth from
were
the bottom.
in.
Yes.
We were in the relegation zone, and we fired our manager recently. We have a new manager. We're back out of the relegation zone, and hopefully we'll
By a
stay
point,
out.
I think, or one or two. Maybe two.
Let's not get into the semantics. It doesn't. We're out. We're out of
Okay,
the.
right. For now.
We're out of the zone.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so the so tell me more about the community relations. So I know the public safety in general. They have a philosophy of, which is great, of really trying to be community partners and but what are the key ways of doing that in addition to your role that public safety is trying to be more about the community safety and more interactive, let's say, with the student body?
Yeah. So I try and support a lot of our officers in getting to know students through becoming partners with some of the various programs, as I mentioned before, across the campus. For example, I have an officer who is a liaison to one of the dance groups here on the campus. I have officers that are reaching out to some of the sports teams, some of the athletics groups on the campus, as well as a liaison officer to those groups. The idea behind that is, and the direction I tend to give the officers is, don't so much, I'm really not looking for the officers to be there at every meeting and to be there regularly to make the students feel that public safety are there at every when they turn every corner. But what I would like the officers to do is make themselves available occasionally. It might be once every 6 to 8 weeks or so to stop by a meeting or a practice, just for a few minutes, so that they can be on hand should there be any questions from those students. What I try to do is, again, encourage the officers to pursue the groups that they themselves have an interest in. For example, I have an officer who is a huge fan of ice hockey, and he's reaching out to the hockey teams because he feels that he can maybe share some of his insights, but at the same time learn from the students. It has to be a conversation between the groups. I just don't want our officers going and delivering message after message. It needs to be a little bit less formal than that.
And how's that going? I mean, it sounds very similar to the faculty fellow program that athletics have. So I'm the athletics fellow for one of the athletic fellows for the swimming and diving team, and it's always encouraging. Let's say for me that when I go down there, the students are just really excited and appreciative that you're willing to give your time.
Yes, absolutely.
Just to show up and just to be a support.
Yep.
I'm sure it's the same for your officers.
Absolutely, and I don't think there's any better return on a program like that than when you see an officer out in the field can be dealing with anything, quite frankly, and then there will be a student say, "Oh, hi, Jason. Hi, Jeremy. Right. Hi, Christina." And they can have that quick few seconds of conversation as the student's on their way to a class. The officer is out there in the field dealing with whatever it may be. It builds a stronger community, and I'd like to think that the students then feel that there is another mechanism for support whilst they're here on the campus, and I know that the residential colleges have great mechanisms, but at the same time having a resource through our department, through public safety, for any concerns, questions that students might have, for that officer that now has the rapport with the student, I think it's great. It goes a long way. So that's we call that the Community Partnership Initiative, CPI. But then there are a lot of other initiatives as well, where we endeavour to reach out to the students through some of the proactive programs like the RAD program, which is a self-defense course for women here on the campus.
And it's an acronym for?
Rape, Aggression, Defense.
Okay.
So as we're on the subject, the RAD program is a national program endorsed by IACLEA, which is the International Association of College Law Enforcement Associates. And the RAD program is designed, or was designed, primarily to empower young women against aggressors, those aggressors that may be contemplating rape or abduction or those types of things. So it's certainly by no means a program that's designed to make women feel that they can or they should in fact fight off every aggressor. Mm-hmm. But what we want to do is empower women in the knowledge that they know, should they have to fight back, if they're ever presented with a situation where they are being aggressed, that they have these tools available to them to absolutely try and fight back.
And how is it a one-day program, a couple days?
It's actually a 12-hour course,
okay.
Which we know, we know that is a huge time commitment in any student schedule. But what we do is break down those 12 hours into 4 lots of 3-hour classes. Again, a 3-hour segment out of any student's evening is a huge chunk of time. But I think, when I'd like to think that if you talk to any of the young women that have taken this class, they'll tell you that the 3 hours absolutely fly by. They have a lot of fun in these classes. That's not just down to the fantastic instruction they're getting, but it also brings a lot of these women together. There's some great bonding going on, and again, it does go by so quickly. They have fun, they hear the important messages, and they come away from it feeling hopefully confident as they go about their daily routines on the campus and off.
And I know you said there's more coming this semester, but haven't been scheduled yet. How would someone find out about it? Just go to the public safety website?
Absolutely. So we endeavor to always create these flyers. You may have seen a few of them dotted around the campus. We try and hit everywhere with the flyers when there's a new course scheduled. And then beyond the flyers, yes, we post the new RAD class dates on our website. And also on our public safety Facebook page. We have a presence on Facebook.
You guys are hip.
I think so. Well, let's hope so. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, as we draw to a close with our time, there's myths about public safety. Students have certain perceptions about how, what public safety is doing when there's a situation, and that can prove disruptive to what you all are trying to do, which is public safety.
Right.
So tell me about some of those that what are the most common ones that public safety struggles with?
So I think the most important message that I'd really like the audience to hear is, in terms of myths, you should never second guess calling us. If you or your friend is in trouble, I think one of probably the most typical types of example would be if you happen to see your friend and your friend is intoxicated. Mm-hmm. I've heard, sadly, on occasion, some students say, well, I was concerned about calling public safety because I didn't want to get my friend into any trouble, or I myself, I didn't want to have to be answering for the condition of my friend. So that's hugely, that's so counter-destructive. We are, as an agency, we want to make sure that the students feel confident they can call us if ever they see a friend in need of help. And in that particular example, I've seen more students applauded and sent letters of appreciation from ODUS and the residential colleges, acknowledging the fact that they helped a student, Public safety will not write files for possible discipline for those students that have reached out for help. So again, a student that sees a friend or a roommate, a classmate that needs help should absolutely call us, and absolutely do not second guess this, you know, am I going to get into trouble for it? Absolutely not. You called, we are going to get you the help, and we just want to make sure that person that needs the help gets it in a timely fashion.
And just to clarify, let's say, that call for help, that should be the 83333 number.
Yes.
3333.
Correct, right. Correct.
I have Adam Mastriani in my head.
His
I'm trying
song?
to remember 609-258-3333. That's right.
Yeah. I should have brought my guitar, and
we could have butchered that song.
Yeah.
So
you're absolutely right. 81000 is the typical line or the number that you would call public safety on with questions,
like
you know, or calls for service, that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So typically, I guess the way to quantify that is a non-emergency line. Mm-hmm. The 258-3333 number is the emergency line. So if you were to call that from your cell phone, you will come through to our dispatch center on our 911 emergency line. And again, you know, we're not going to hesitate. The dispatcher will more than likely want to keep you on the line whilst we're directing officers to you.
So how about time for, is there one other myth that you'd like to dispel right here?
Yeah, so, you know,
right now,
right
in this video.
Right, absolutely, yes,
dead and gone.
Yeah. So, you know, there are not hundreds of public safety officers out there. We are ever present, hopefully, because I encourage the officers, I know together with my supervisor colleagues, we encourage the officers to be out in the field, in the community as much as possible. There aren't hundreds of us, which means that we do rely on the community's help as well. Mm-hmm. You know, we are policing by consent. We are here for you, and we recognize the help that you provide us. Because I don't have the amount of officers, you know, I would really like, it means I have to work with you, and I encourage that. So, you know, if you see something that doesn't look right, if you sense that there's something wrong, call us. Again, please don't second guess. We'll send an officer, the officer will do his or her job, but just by reporting things that seem odd to you is a huge help.
All right. Well, I wish we could go on, but we're at the end here of our time. This is when I usually give a compliment, and I've already given one, but I'll give another. Sergeant Ryder is one of the most delightful people on campus. So if you see him on campus, I please go up and talk to him. You'll have just a wonderful conversation. He even doesn't mind if you try to imitate his accent, which I do every time you call. I always
That's right. You're getting very good at it, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, sure. Butcher it. But you're so kind. You don't get angry with me, which I appreciate.
Not at all.
Anyway, I treasure our friendship, and I just really thank you for taking the time to come here.
Thank you very much, Matt. Really enjoyed it, and thanks for all your support.
All right. Take care. There you go.